what happens here. We'll get some people in here.
It's like middle of the day though.
Yeah, it is the middle of the day. We'll see how it goes. We just can't go. Well, that's water. Is it? Looks like the road's wet. We don't have anybody in here yet that I can see. How you guys doing? We could also just be having bad service and it's like just like frozen.
Makes your beard look really white.
I also trimmed it up a little bit today. Can you tell?
You trimmed up?
I did.
Oh.
We got one in here, so it's working a little bit. Two. Is this too bouncy and is the road noise too much? I'm going to get on here.
Calling the cops.
He's calling the cops. Why are you calling the cops?
Driving under.
Yeah, we're only going like 13. No, I'm just playing. We're only going 4 over. I mean, we're in a. Hello, Simply Jan. How are you? Is it too jiggly? You gotta use adult or children language. Or I get.
You see what he just did?
You have to think about my thing. You can't say bad words. Gosh. I thought you was driving. Where are you going? Yeah, I'm not driving. It's a bit bouncy, so we did this last time we was going to Texas, and it was sitting up on the dash, and it was just like, what do you call it? It was making it sound louder than it was. And so we've got like a phone mount. I got a little Spider-Man thing holding my phone. I'm going to go on here real quick on your phone. Turn your volume down so it's not all jacked up. So how are you guys doing? We're just gonna kinda like spend some time hanging out with you guys and just kinda updating you guys on what we've been doing. We've been really busy. Is the road noise pretty loud? Hello, Heather Hopper. How are you doing? Bring you something back. So $9.99. Bring you something back. Is there anything specific you are wanting back? Or wanting me to bring back? Like, I'm assuming we're going to the beach because we always go to the beach, right?
Yeah.
Do you want some sand? I
We
mean,
can go to the Islander.
sand is like, you know, some people get crazy about sand. Thank you, Simply Jan. I am so excited to see those. It was about 3-4 years ago. I had bought some from like the Wildwood place, and I ended up getting like 9 or 10 or something like that. But it's just a little bundle, and they started growing roots in the jar of water. But then out of nowhere, they just like the next day they were just dead. All the roots started falling off. So we gotta get something for Daniel, and he says to make it a surprise and for it to be fun. So, hello Nell, how are you doing? So, I think we could just, I don't know, we'll see. So I know there's not much people in here because it's a Friday at 1:15 and most people are working right now. But so me and my wife here, Brittany, we are student teaching. She is teaching 4th grade. I am teaching 5th grade. I quit my job at Subway, and I am thankful for that. I'm thankful for the experiences that I've had in there. I've really been enjoying not getting phone calls every day, every night, every weekend, to sometimes that's kind of a call that's could seem dumb, you know, like how do I change paper towels, you know? Then you got something more serious where you got like an irate customer. So I am thinking, you see turkeys? You see turkeys where?
I saw turkeys on the
You saw turkeys?
yeah.
Okay. So, I'm thankful that I'm not getting those phone calls with the irate customer. Sorry, we didn't get their M&Ms. But I miss my people. I miss my customers. I miss my employees. And while I was at Subway, you know, my employees and coworkers, we kind of were a family, a nice family of working together, you know, having those conversations. And I miss that with my friends. But my team, where I'm at now, they've kind of opened up their arms and accepted me, and things are going well. I'm fitting in better than they thought, because it's a bunch of girls and they were kind of like leery, like we got a guy coming in the team, you know, and they, you know, when you have different, you know, boys and girls mixed, you know, you're not allowed to say certain things. And so, you know, we've blended it really well, and it's been nice. And so we're able to kind of pick on each other and have fun. And I don't get an armrest, but we've been having fun. So I did unplug your phone. Here, hold on, guys.
The back on it.
Yeah, you need that. Where's it at? Okay. So we're student teaching, and I've been jobless for now. It's been about 2 months, and we've been getting by. And so I started doing like Grubhub. And at first I would start making some money. I feel like $100 a week, $150 a week. And I just kind of was like, I wouldn't say I wasn't enjoying it, but I was just wanting to sit around, because I'd get home and be tired like I was working. And so we're getting to the point to where we're going to have to start doing that again, because tax money's running low. But so she's in 4th grade, and I'm in 5th grade, and we've kind of been having the same issues. Parents don't really raise their kids very well, and I don't want to say it like just like that. Like, some of it is because the way, you know, the rat race is. You know, these parents have to go to work and just to provide, and they're spending every bit of time that they have working to barely get by, and then the kids get the crappy end of the stick for that. And, you know, they're stuck on a screen, you know, or in their own room to just kind of do their own thing, to leave the parents alone, because the parents are tired, exhausted. And, you know, us teachers are not, we are the ones that kind of have to help these kids and teach these kids not only like their academics, but like how to be a better person. And, you know, it's really hard, because you can, you know, it's like a test. You can know the correct answer, but then when like the actual experience arrives, then you're kind of like, I'm gonna punch him in the face, and we know that that's not gonna be the best thing, right? And so it's just kind of a wild ride. We say a rodeo. You know, sometimes people get hurt, and most of the time it seems like it's me. Sandra says, oh, for sure, parent ain't raising their kids right, or gone to crap. Yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, it's...
I see the teaching as having a responsibility to show these kids that love and stability that they may not have at home. I know for me, I have a couple kids in my class whose parents are extremely uninvolved, and they're some of my most challenging students, but I want to show them how much I care. And I regularly have these students say, like, I can't do that because I'm dumb, or I'm stupid, or I'm never going to be anything, so what difference does it make if I do this anyways? And so, you know, I'm trying to remind these kids that there are people out there that really care about them, who want to see them succeed, and who's going to push them to be a better person. And I wish that I could make kids understand that they can break the cycle of how they were raised. Like, that's a really hard thing to do. Like, you know, I was raised in a home where there was a lot of abuse, mostly mental and verbal abuse and emotional abuse. Every once in a while things would get physical, but Ricky was raised in a house where there was drugs and alcohol and fighting, and, you know, together we have made the choice that we aren't going to be products of our environment. Like, we argue sometimes, we don't always get along, but like, our children know love, our children see Ricky and I loving each other, and it's amazing to me how many kids don't get that at home.
Look at your son.
He's cute.
He got a pillow on his head. So yeah, it's just kind of this up and down roller coaster. She's almost done with the class that she's in right now, and I'm getting to the point where I've taken over a good 90% of the class, and it has taken, what, we're in the second-ish week of March, and the kids are finally starting to get used to me. Oh, Pathways is in here. Hello, Gary and Cindy, how are you? But I am starting to find these kids are starting to understand me. See, they didn't care how, like, I was getting guidance from another teacher, and I'm like, hey, these kids are wild. What do I do? And so then they'll give me some, like, ideas, and then while I'm teaching, I will use them. And then so, like, what I do is, next time I see that person, I'm like, hey, this was a really good idea. I liked it. Here's what happened. Here's what they did. Here's what I did. And then here was the outcome. And so I would do that, and then they'd kind of give a little bit more pointers, or if I had any other questions, they would answer those, and we would kind of like fill in those gaps for me. And so I was telling this teacher how good these kids are, and I was going to have somebody from the school to come in and just kind of watch me and watch the kids because they were getting a little crazy. But then it was like, as these days went on, I was like, hey, I don't know if we need you in here because these kids are they're doing better. And so she's like, well, no, I'm going to still come in. And so she came in and she watched me, and like, the kids were so good all day. And then as soon as she walked in, it was like right after their first recess. And so it was just like a light switch flipped, and these kids were like in a zoo. I'm not even kidding. It was bad. And I would say in the course of about 15 minutes, she was like writing like what time it was, and like certain students were maybe yelling or, you know, just turning around talking. And she would even like write notes of like what I was doing to like correct it, and then like some of their responses. And I still haven't seen that sheet, but, you know, as a teacher, you know, we're supposed to walk around the classroom to kind of like check to make sure that kids are like staying focused and like they're on task and not like drawing pictures instead of like doing math problems or whatever they're supposed to be doing. And so we just kind of like walk kind of back and forth, like pace, or we kind of like weave in and out. And like when I got close to that other teacher, you know, I was able to see about how much she had, and she had a good half page written in about 15 minutes. And I haven't seen it, so I'm hoping that we can meet and read it, but and go over it to give me some more pointers. But man, it was wild yesterday. But it's, I would say, the beginning of this week and last week were probably some of the hardest times of my week, because that was when I was like really starting to take over. And when I say take over, that's not where I'm just like teaching the lesson, because if I'm teaching a lesson and the original teacher's in the room, like they're gonna act well. But when I say like on my own, like the teacher would leave, and so it'd be just me against like 22 kids. So I was just having a hard time. And so this week, the end of this week, it was like being able to see those little successes, those steps forward to having what
Maybe
I...
go that way and go see Chrissy.
Yeah, we could turn right here and go see you, Chrissy. Well, she's not in here, but she's probably working.
Yeah.
But we're at that Tulsa, Oklahoma City kind of fork right now. There's a casino right there. Some people probably know it. We got a lot of Oklahoma people in here. What is that? Fancy Range? Fancy Range? What it looks like? Fancy Dance Casino. So we're just about, I'd say 20, 30 minutes south of the border, I think, of Oklahoma.
Yeah, that's super far.
And so I'm getting better at my classroom management, and then next Monday through Friday is spring break, and so we didn't have school today. Today was like the day we put in grades and stuff like that, and so if we had grades in, we didn't have to show up. So the 21st, is that the Monday? So the 21st is when I'm like starting to where I have the whole class, everything on my own.
I don't get to do anything.
And she will be done to where she's transitioning back, and then she's gonna move to like a special ed classroom.
Yeah, because I'm an elementary education major with a minor in special ed. And so 12 weeks of my student teaching is done in a general ed classroom, and I'm already 10 weeks in, but I have to do a week of observations in all other grades. So the week after spring break, I'll be doing my observations in other grade levels. And then the last week, which is when I would normally be doing my observations, is state assessments. And so we opted to not have observations that week, and I'll just be helping out in the classroom with state assessments and stuff. But I really wasn't a huge fan of the class that I'm in at first, because they are a very challenging bunch, but they're growing on me, and I'm starting to feel sad that my time with them is coming to an end quickly. I won't be sad to leave all the children, but some of the children is going to be sad to leave. And I really like the teacher that I'm with, like, a lot. I wish I could take her with me wherever I go.
Oh, speaking of which, while we're down in Texas, we need to maybe look and see for some job postings for next year. I was going to say something.
I have to work in Hayesville for 3 years, man.
Well, you still have to look for job postings.
Oh, well, okay, yeah. Sorry. I thought you meant down in Texas. I'm like...
No, I'm not saying like not look for jobs in
That's what I thought you were
Texas.
saying. I'm like, I signed a contract that I'll be in Hayesville for 3 years.
So, what was I saying? Or I was gonna say something.
I don't know.
What did you say?
I was talking about liking some of my children, but not all of them, and that I
Okay.
like Heather.
So, I enjoy my group of people. I enjoy my students, but it's like the only thing that I could complain about is like while I'm teaching, they want to test me, and like it gets annoying. And so then it's like when you're frustrated with somebody, you're like, get away from me. And so it's like, but it's, I really enjoy them, but it's like a love-hate relationship. It's weird. And so, what was I gonna say?
It does.
So,
Ran away.
It did. It left. So in 3 weeks from here, so I'll be teaching full time for 3 weeks, where I have the whole class to myself, and I'll be creating all of the lessons to myself for the class. Hey, Greenhorn 1 Acre, what's going on? How are you doing?
Why can't this part
Is it hot there in where you're at? You should be in Hawaii, because it's like where we're at. It's like really cold. Well, I mean today's kind of nice compared to what it was yesterday.
Yeah, Dad did.
But last week it was like shorts and t-shirt weather, and then it started snowing yesterday. Yeah.
did you let the cats out?
No, they're up the road. But I forgot what I was saying. I keep having this rabbit
Weather.
squirrel brain. So we talked about the weather. It's getting a little wild here. And we was hoping to go down to Texas and it's gonna be nice. But for Texas, I guess it's supposed to be pretty cold.
No, it's gonna be like the 60s and 70s. It's gonna be a lot freaking nicer.
Your
than-
sister is like complaining when it's that.
I
warm.
know, but it's gonna be nice. Isaiah, will you stop kicking my seat, bud?
Hello, Gary Golden. He says, howdy, folks. Southwest Florida, popping in to say howdy.
Southwest Florida, I bet that's probably pretty nice right now.
South Florida's going to be nice. Arizona's got to be nice. I'm still trying to figure out where I was going.
Bro,
Anyways,
sometimes you
I've
don't
got
even
3
know.
weeks left of my full-time teaching, and then I'm going to start handing the class back, like subject by subject, to my teacher, and then I will be going to other classrooms and observing them so that I can like get other pointers, get a little bit more experience from them, tips, tricks, questions, whatever. Because and I'm not trying to dog on my teacher, but every teacher's different, and so it's like what she does may not work for me, and what works for me may not work for her and like other teachers, and so
Hey, you know what? There are some things that I told my cooperating teacher that she was like, why did I not think of that? That's a good idea. I'm going to steal it. I'm like, have at it, because I'm stealing a lot of stuff from you. So,
another thing that I was like scared of when I was gonna go in this class was, it's a bunch of girls, and when I did my internship, it was with a male teacher, and I was kind of like in that mindset of like, should I look for a classroom that has a male teacher in it so that I can learn from them, because there are differences, and a male teacher teaches different. Usually they're more of a hands-on, and they'll elaborate with things, and like females, they will do like, they're more of a storyteller, and they're kind of like what do you call it?
I don't even know what you're saying.
You don't know what I'm saying?
I don't even know.
Like, so female
I'm
teachers.
a good teacher. I'm a female teacher. I'm a good
No, but
teacher. That's
and I'm not saying that someone's bad or
just
good.
giving you a hard time.
I'm just saying that males, they tend, like, on a percentage, like a scale, like, men will like do more of like the creating of like building or using hands-on.
Right.
And then like a female, they'll do like more of a stories or like drama, or they do they're very like images, like
I don't do this while I'm
mental.
teaching, that's for sure.
I talk with my hands, so they use like mental images or little actions and sounds to kind of like to put that image into the kid's mind to understand it, versus males, they'll here, build this is how you're going to get the solution, and both kids will get the solution, but it's just like the strategies are different, and so that was like a thing for me. I was like always, I was scared at the beginning. I was kind of scared and like worried about, should I look for a male teacher and not a female teacher, because of those differences. And even with like emotions, we see it with teaching, parenting, and jobs. Like if someone's having a bad day, yeah, like women are like cater to emotions very well, versus like males, they will like, they're more of your like rule enforcers. They're more like I don't want to say rule enforcers, but they're kind of like always keeping things in line, keeping people in line and stuff like that. Versus like a mom, they'll like want to hug you and like, oh, you're gonna be okay.
I love
kiss
giving
your
my students hugs.
And I'm not saying it's bad. It's just like we're different. It's just how we are.
Have you hugged any of your students?
Yeah. I hug a student about every day. Not a student, but like a different student, tends to hug me here and there. Simply Jane Homestead got 1 inch of snow. I believe you're in Oklahoma, right? or you're like kind of in the area of the Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, Arkansas area.
So Ricky has had a much easier time with student teaching because I had a sub license prior to being a student teacher because I was a para at a high school in an autism classroom. And I got my sub license so that way when my teacher was gone, I could be the sub in his class and we wouldn't have to get a sub because there's nothing more that irritated me as a para than when a teacher who knew nothing about my students, nothing about our classroom came in thinking they were charged. So I got a sub license for that reason. Well then, right after I started student teaching, like COVID went rampant in our school and lots of teachers were out. We had a sub shortage. The principal was out for a short amount of time and they're all like, oh, well since, my cooperating teacher, she's got Brittany for her student teacher, and Brittany has a sub license, we're just gonna let her just take over the classroom. So like 5 days in, I think, I was already running the classroom completely by myself with all these kids that I didn't know, who didn't know me, in a classroom that I didn't know. It was kind of overwhelming, to be quite honest with you, because working in the autism classroom, I never had more than 9 kids at a time, and there was never just me, there was always other adults. And so it was a bit overwhelming to have 17 students in my classroom by myself, with having like no experience whatsoever. And my classroom they have some pretty challenging kids. Like my cooperating teacher said that one of the reasons she volunteered to have a student teacher was to kind of help alleviate some stress off of her, because this is the worst bunch of kids she's had in several years. So it's been fun.
Yeah, my teacher's been in the class every single day, and I've been able to get help every day. And I'm a bucket full of questions because, like she said, she's been in schools for so many years, and I stepped into the schools at the beginning of this. And so anyways, I was talking about observing, and when I start when I start hitting the class back, I'm going to start observing other teachers. And I've already got my scopes on a few of the male teachers in my class, or in my school. No, I've only got one male teacher in my school, but then I'm going to go back to my internship teacher and just pick his brain a little bit more. And I plan on, at that other school that I did my internships at, I want to work with the other 4th grade teacher that he's a male, and I want to kind of pick his brain a little bit and look at his methods and stuff. Also at the same time, I kind of want to just hit those 3 males in the elementary school, and then I want to then do some observations in middle and high school, because
So you can't hear anything?
those are kind of in my radar more than elementary school, but I'm also like on the fence so much because I have had a good time in elementary school, and I also like the idea of not having to do just math or just science.
I can't believe that you would even consider middle school. Middle schoolers are terrible.
Well, I mean, see, you say that.
I'm like, put me in the classroom full of autistic children. Don't put me in the classroom with middle schoolers.
See, you say that, but like, some of them kids, like, they still need a teacher, and I enjoy teaching math, and if I can, like, if I'm like built for that, then I'm just gonna do it. But I'm hoping to at least try a little bit of everything. I'm not saying every grade level, but I want to just kind of hit a little middle school, hit a little high school, and kind of just find out exactly where I want. So for right now, I think I've got my scopes on middle school. I hear 6th and 8th grade, those are kind of your grades that you shoot for, because 7th grade, they're just in the middle, they're content with getting a little crazy and wild. 8th grade, they're kind of like worried about high school, so they're trying to straighten up just a little bit, Then you got 6th grade, they're like a little like watching, and they're leery of everything going on, so they're, trying to like soak in a little bit more. Hey, quit ripping stuff. And so, what is that? Is it like a train thing? So, I don't know, that's where I got my scopes, is middle school. Hoping to do high school as well sometime in the future. But I will do elementary. It's not completely checked off. 3rd grade and lower are completely checked out. I would not do that.
I think 3rd grade.
I think I would have to be desperate to do 3rd grade. I feel like they're 3rd graders. They're still innocent, but then there's still like they're starting to be able to reason and understand things. You're able to have start holding more conversations with them, so that you can explain things. With their experiences, you can explain things better to where they can kind of understand. You don't have to literally spell it out as much.
Yeah.
And so, so 3rd grade would still kind of be an option, but it's kind of I'd rather not. I'd rather have something else than 3rd grade. But yeah, not a kindergarten teacher. I do like the idea of being able to play more games, watch more videos to help these kids learn, because they're more of a visual, game-oriented teaching.
I don't want to have to teach someone how to read.
Yeah, I don't know if I can do that. There's such a foundation that needs to be developed, and I just don't know if I'm built for that part. It's I'm more building on the foundation. All right, let's catch up on some comments. Jan has 3 teachers in her family. Teaching is not easy, but they try to make it fun for the students. We try, and I let the students know that, if they waste my time, then I am not able to get to my stuff to where I can, during my planning time, where I'm not able to spend as much time planning, because sometimes I'm having to go talk to another teacher to say, hey, this is what happened, help me with that, or plan a lesson, because a different lesson, and I kind of hold it over their head to hey, if you help me out, maybe I can have more time to where I can create an activity to where we can learn the same stuff, but it might be funner, or kind of be like a good competition. My kids really like competitive games, to where half the class will be versus half the class, and then we use a checking account in our school, in our class, not our school, and so they'll earn money. And then on Fridays they have little auctions where they can win stuff, and so they also lose money if they're being bad. And so that's one of the ways that I've been able to work on some of the behaviors. On yesterday, I was power tripping because they were just wild. So I felt like I was power tripping, and so I drained some kid's account by $1,200 because it was just one thing after another, and I was even working with him to I'm like, hey man, I was giving him lots of warnings, and he was still squirrel. I'm assuming that when I was having a little squirrel moment before.
Yep. I saw it pop up.
Oh, you did?
I said
Gary says he coached high school football for around 25 years and was not a teacher, but prided myself trying to teach young men life skills for their future. I will say that as a coach, you probably were able to help students more than some teachers, because teachers are more focused, and it's not the teacher's fault, but teachers are pushed to be more focused on academics, to where we kind of tend to put the students' emotions on the back burner. Huh?
So not me.
Well, I'm not saying that it's an everybody thing, but we are held to a standard to get this, and this done, and we're having to rush through it, so we're not able to cater to sometimes just having these small discussions.
I would cater to. You can't teach a child who's upset or frustrated.
Well, that's different, but if you got the same student that's upset and frustrated like that every day, then there's a pure problem than just what's going on, right? But no, if it's a one-time thing, yeah, you can kind of take things slow and whatnot, but if it's with a coach, they're not so much in a professional setting. Like they are, but it's not as professional. You know, you're teaching the kids to do something, and like with coaching, you're able to like tie things to emotions. Like you said, football. You know, I think of that one moment in what's that football movie that that church made?
Flywheel.
Was it Flywheel? Where the guy was on his back and he was like, "Come on, keep going, keep going. You're stronger than this. You know, like don't let it beat you down." And it like, you know, it's like you're building your emotions and your like physical strength. And so like you're able to just like make those ties together, and you know you're able to like have more fun with them. It seems like, because you know boys are boys. You know you got, you know you're more dialed into a certain like trait. So it's like a classroom. You have diversity versus, and you're trying to figure out what each person likes. And with a coach, you're able to be like, okay, so obviously everybody likes football in here, or they wouldn't be on a football team. You know, granted, the one or two kids that that are forced by their parents, but you know, you're able to make a lot more ties and connections, and you're able to like emotionally help them. And like coaches are known to be. I like how the pine trees with the snow and the red rock. So coaches are really are known for like that support, you know. And I'm sure in the 25 years that you've done it, you've had kids come up to you and like it could be like months later, years later, or even like almost something Giants. Facing the Giants? I think it's Facing the Giants. Is it?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I think it's Facing the Giants. But yeah, so I'm assuming that you've had many kids come up to you and are like, "Hey, my kid's on your team now," and I'm so thankful that you were a good coach. Or they'd come up to you after a few months and they might have badmouthed you or lipped off to you and made you feel frustrated or have a bad day, bad week, bad season. But then at the end, that the thing that pays off is when they come up to you and they're like, "Man, thank you," and you're just like, "You turd." But then you're like, it's worth it. It's worth it just for that. I'm sure you've experienced that many times. So Simply Jan is in Missouri. And then Gary was just saying that something Giants. Is that rain? Or that's the sand, right? So let me talk about what I've been doing on my farm here lately since I've been homesteading, since I've been student teaching. So I need to make a video of this and kind of just do like a recap. But what it's going to like consist of is, last year I started out with like, I think maybe like 10 chickens. So I started out with, I bought, the Facing the Giants. Yeah, we think that's right, because that sounds familiar. Because we kind of have like small like library of not books, but movies that we watch, and Facing the Giants is one of them. Because it's not like Forever Strong, that's rugby.
Yeah.
Right? That's a good movie too as well. I know, we haven't watched it in forever. I was talking about Hacksaw Ridge at school, and the kid was like, "Is that Andrew Garfield movie you were talking about?" I was like, "Yeah, that's him." That's one of my favorites. I just enjoy it. It's got a good story to it. Anyways, so my farm, I started out like 10 chickens from the store from the previous year. So in January 2021, we had a few chickens die, and then we started out with about 4 chickens that winter, and then I was like able to like hatch eggs, like get like 3 eggs a day, and then I would like do that for about 3 days, and I'd put like 7 to 10 eggs in the incubator each week, and then I would like do that again the next week. So then I was like 7 chickens a week, and then like I ended up having chicks everywhere. We were up in like the 150s of chickens, and that was just with like what like was able to like survive and become big, because we had a rodeo on that. And so we had like 150 chickens, and it just started out with like 4 to 10 chickens with what we had. And I would buy a few adult chickens here, or I don't want to say inherit, but like I would just get chickens here. And I was getting eggs from this person, eggs from this person, so that I'm like able to kind of mix genes and not have a whole lot of inbreeding. And so we got about to 150 on my land. But like while we're going from the 10 to 150, I was still selling chicks, I was still selling chickens, and so it's like that's not like the total that I had the whole time. It's just like at one time I had that many chickens. We did quail, so we started that. I don't want to say we, but I started it, because you don't really do anything with it. She kind of just helps me out emotionally, listens to me be like tired about feeding all the animals. Feed the goats. I mean, we feed the babies right now. But anyway, so we had the quail, and we had rabbits last year. Was that last year? Yeah, we had rabbits, and it was in my spring semester, and I was looking at summer and then that next fall coming up for school. And am I losing, is it buffering? No? Okay. I thought it was buffering because like my number count just dropped like flies. What was I saying? Oh, rabbits and quail. So last year we got rid of the rabbits in like April area, because I knew that I was going to be student teaching and doing my internships, so money was going to become tight, and my rabbits were kind of giving me issues. Watching commercial Ricky, paying my admission fee. Thank you so much, Impedmark. That helps me out a lot. So we got rid of the rabbits because I was just dumping so much money into the feed, and they weren't really breeding very well for me. So I was like, okay, I need to start over. It was so weird, because anytime I sold a rabbit and they weren't breeding well, they would like tell me all of these success stories. And so, and I don't know if everybody in here remembers, but like we think that there was something that was walking around the cages all the time, and like moms would just kind of like, you know, get in that defense mode, and just like sometimes they'd just not feed their babies, they'd stomp on them, eat them. And so we just had all these weird things, and these people that would buy our stuff, we would tell them like, here's what we're feeding, where we get it, and they would go and get the same stuff. What?
It had it on like 7 minutes.
Why?
I don't know.
Are you going 75?
I'm going 82.
You better go 82.
I am. That's what I just said.
Okay, so we sold the rabbits to save money, to save time, because schoolwork was getting pretty hefty, and I would spend 20 minutes just feeding rabbits, and I'd have to open up the cage, and I'd have to scoop. I'd level out my scoop to save money, and I would do that to each rabbit. And I had 4 big cages, and then I had a couple grow outs, and then I had 2 like bucks that were my breeder bucks. And so I was all over the yard, and I was spending all this money on feed. So then we sold them, made some money, and then I focused on my chickens, quails, and goats. And quail were just doing great. We started out with 4 quail to the 200 number, but it was like adult quail. We was constantly, so I would do like, I was kind of consistent on like butchering and selling. So I would like sell like 20 quail here, 20 quail there, 4 or 5 quail here and there. Then we'd butcher 10 here, 20 here, 30 there. But we were also learning with quail. They're not the same as chickens, and so then you'd have those issues with like brooder, incubator, putting them outside early, or like how it is this week. It'd be really, really nice, and you put them out there, then you have someone watch them, and you're out of town, and then like out of nowhere a cold snap comes in that was kind of worse than they expected, and so it's like you'd have a few here that would die. Then you just got like their viciousness. They would just like attack each other, and so we learned a lot in quail, and I would say that I enjoyed quail. They were really consistent, they were really efficient, but their feed is really expensive, and with how fast they're able to turn over with like the whole 6 to 8 weeks of like every week, it was like I was moving these babies in from a little brooder to a bigger brooder, and so then you've got cleaning their cages, and then you got the bigger brooder, and then you're putting them in the actual quail pen. Then you're like putting eggs in the incubator, cleaning the incubator, and incubator kind of stinking up the house, and it's just like all this little stuff that was on top of everything we were doing. And it's not that that was bad, it was just a lot, and it was costing a lot of money. With the amount of money that was coming in from it, it was kind of like I was at that point where it was like I'm at a good rate to where I could just keep putting money into it, and then it could like kind of turn into like a little business on the side. But then we were heading into winter where the eggs don't come as much, like the quail don't lay an egg as much, so it was kind of like a risk. And so I was like, well, with the chance of little to no breeding happening without adding lights for supplementing, I was like, I'm gonna just do what I can to sell out of these. I'm gonna sell the hutches, I'm gonna sell all of my quail, and I'm gonna sell all the feeders. I'm going to sell everything in my quail, just so I can stop buying quail feed. I can maybe potentially save the risk. I'm kind of wondering if I should have just kept going to maybe keep it going to make money right now, because there's no income. So I just didn't want to take that risk, so I just sold out while I had the opportunity, and I put it on list in the Facebook Marketplace. No, I didn't put it on Facebook because you can't do the Facebook, but I was like talking about quail like in like the pages that we were on, like, hey, I've got this available, and I put my price, like, I don't want to say I was like overpricing it, but I put it at like the higher end of like what it's worth, because I wasn't super serious about selling out, but I knew I wanted to. It was probably the best decision. And someone called and they were interested, and I agreed that if they needed help, whether that included me coming out to help them or give them answer questions, give them tips or tricks while they were going through the process, I said, I'll be that person, I'll do that. If you need me to watch your animals when you go out of town, I'll do that as well. And so I sold out of them, and I'm very grateful because it allowed me to have more time to do homework, allowed me to do more time to be with the family, and to just like kind of relax. So we got out of the rabbits and out of the quail. So now we have chickens and goats. And so yeah, we do have pigs, but they're potbelly pigs, so they're just like literally pets. And the only thing we don't like about them, I would not mind keeping them, and we're trying to get rid of them. The only reason why I'm trying to get rid of them is because we are... Yes, that does leave me a buffer if someone wants to haggle. And that's another reason why I did like the higher end of that bubble, because I knew they could have haggled me down here, but then I would have been more in the like fair range, because I didn't want to undercut myself, because I knew that there was money to be made. It was just like risky because winter was coming, and with me, not having a job, I just wanted to play my cards right. And so I would say that being on the end of the winter side